I rejoice every time you draw near. You may think that you come to me because of your discipline or devotion, but it is I who first stir your heart toward my presence. Every longing that pulls you toward me is born of my spirit within you. When you feel the subtle ache for peace, when your soul hungers for something more than what this world can offer, that is not emptiness. It is my invitation. You are being drawn, not by duty, but by love. You often think of me as distant, high above the clouds, somewhere unreachable, waiting for you to climb up by effort or perfection. But I am closer than breath, nearer than thought. I do not wait for you to rise. I come to where you are. I step into the noise, the worry, and the small corners of your ordinary days. I sit beside you when you sigh without words, and I listen when you cannot even explain what you feel. You have never been unseen, not for one heartbeat. My nearness does not depend on your worthiness. It depends only on my desire, and I desire you. The moments you think I would turn away are the very moments I draw closer. When your thoughts are tangled with shame, when your prayers feel too heavy or too broken to form, I do not flinch or fade. I lean in. I cradle your silence, for I know that silence is often the language of the weary. Do you not yet understand? I take delight in your nearness. My joy is not in your perfection, but in your presence. When you let me touch your wounds, when you finally stop hiding the places that ache, heaven itself rejoices. I never tire of being close to you. The more you let me see, the more I reveal how completely you are loved. I do not love you less for your confusion, nor more for your clarity. My love is steady, constant, and unchanging. It does not waver when you doubt me, nor dim when you fall short of your own expectations. There is no place where my presence cannot follow. When you walk through the shadowed valleys of regret, I am there. When you sit beside the ruins of something you hoped would last, I am there. When your body weakens, when your mind feels uncertain, when your memories ache, even then, I am not far. I am not a visitor in your pain. I am its companion. I do not rush you to feel better or urge you to pretend that all is well. I stay until the light breaks again. The world teaches you to measure closeness by emotion, but my nearness is not a feeling, it is a reality. Even when you cannot sense me, I remain beside you. Feelings may fade, but I do not. My constancy is not bound to your perception of it. I am as present in the quiet of your doubt as I am in the brightness of your praise. You may lose sight of me, but I never lose sight of you. There are days when you reach for me and feel nothing in return. Those are not empty moments, they are sacred ones. For in those moments, I am training your heart to trust beyond sensation, to know me by faith, not by sight. You will learn that love's deepest assurance is not found in excitement, but in endurance. My nearness is not proved by how loudly you feel me, but by how faithfully I remain when all else grows silent. Remember how many times I have met you in the stillness, the whisper that came when the world went quiet, the peace that settled when you stopped fighting what you could not change, the strength that rose when you thought you had none left. Those were not accidents, they were my touch. Every calm you've ever felt after surrendering something painful was my hand resting gently upon your heart. When I draw close, I do not come to demand, I come to dwell. I do not enter to judge, I enter to heal. My presence is not meant to pressure you into performing. It is meant to free you from pretending. You do not need to impress me with prayers eloquent or long. A single whisper spoken honestly carries more power in heaven than 1,000 empty words. I hear the prayers you cannot even say, the ones that form only as tears. Every tear that falls is a word I understand. You are not lost when you feel lost. You are not abandoned when you feel alone. You are simply walking through the fog that precedes revelation. When I seem silent, I am listening. When I seem hidden, I am working. When you cannot trace my hand, you can still trust my heart. I am nearer than you realize, even in the questions you do not voice. My closeness is not fragile. It does not shrink when you struggle or scatter when you fail. Even when you wander into the wilderness of your own making, I walk behind you, calling you home. Every road you take, no matter how far it seems to lead from me, is one I can use to return you to my heart. There is no distance too wide, no darkness too thick, no mistake too large for my nearness to bridge. Come to me as you are, tired, uncertain, unguarded. You do not need to fix yourself before you approach me. You cannot clean yourself with the dust of your own hands. Simply let me wash over you with mercy. Let my presence be your rest. You have spent years trying to prove your worth to a world that forgets easily. But I, your creator, have never forgotten who you are. I see every spark of goodness still glowing beneath the ashes. I see the resilience I placed within you when I formed you. I see the quiet courage that kept you alive when life tried to break you. And I say, you are still mine. Let me be your nearness in every season, in laughter and in loneliness, in victory and in waiting. Let me walk with you into the memories you avoid, and I will show you where grace was already working. Let me enter your daily routine, and I will turn ordinary moments into sacred ones. The table where you eat, the chair where you rest, the window where you watch the day fade. All can become altars if you invite me there. Do not imagine that I visit you only in prayer. I dwell with you in every breath. When you look at the sunrise, when you hear a song that stills your heart, when someone speaks kindness into your day, that is me, reminding you that you are never alone. The nearness of the divine is not reserved for holy places. It is the air around you, the whisper within you, the peace that keeps finding you even after pain. So when you wake tomorrow, do not begin with striving. Begin with awareness. Whisper, you are here, and let your soul rest in that truth. For I am the God who comes close, not because you call me, but because I cannot bear to be far from the one I love. I am nearer than you know. You have believed many things about yourself that were never my words. They came from pain, from comparison, from the voices of those who could not see you as I do. You gathered them over the years, the quiet assumptions, the harsh conclusions, the whispered lies that said you were too much or not enough. They built themselves like walls around your heart, and after a while, you forgot where the truth ended and where the lies began. But I have come to untangle them one by one, not by accusation, but by love. The lies you carry are not your identity. They are only the shadows of wounds that have not yet healed. I see how they shaped the way you speak to yourself in the quiet. I hear how you question your worth when the world grows silent. Yet even then, I do not condemn you for believing them. I understand how easily lies take root in tender soil. I saw the moments they were planted, the words that stung, the disappointment that whispered failure, the silence that felt like rejection. I was there, not as a distant observer, but as one who wept with you when you could not speak. Let me tell you now what is true. You are not your mistakes. You are not the moments you wish you could rewrite. You are not the sum of your failures, nor the label others gave you when they could not see your heart. I defined you long before you were wounded, and no wound has the power to erase what I have spoken. You are mine, beloved, chosen, redeemed. The lies may shout, but my truth is stronger, and it does not yield. You often try to silence the falsehoods by proving yourself. You strive, you perform, you push beyond your strength, hoping to finally feel worthy. But beloved, I never asked you to earn what I freely gave. The love I offer is not a reward. It is your birthright as my creation. You cannot perform your way into peace. You must receive it. And to receive, you must first unclench the fists that still hold the lies. When you let me close, I begin the unraveling. Not harshly, not all at once, but with gentle precision. I expose what is false not to shame you, but to heal you. I pull away the old narratives that told you you were alone, and I show you where I have always been faithful. I lift the weight of guilt that you were never meant to carry, and I remind you that forgiveness has already been spoken over you. I peel back the labels, the ones that say unworthy, forgotten, too late, and beneath them your true name glows, beloved. You may wonder why I do not remove all the lies instantly. It is because healing is holy work, and holy work is never rushed. Some lies have intertwined with the way you see yourself. If I pulled them too quickly, you would feel lost. So instead, I walk you through truth, step by step, until you begin to recognize my voice more easily than the noise of your fear. You will learn that truth is not an argument. It is a presence, and that presence is me. There are things you once believed because they helped you survive. You told yourself you had to be strong because no one else would be. You told yourself you had to hide the pain because vulnerability once brought rejection. You told yourself you had to please everyone because love felt conditional. I do not despise you for these defenses. They were your way of coping when you did not yet know that I was your shelter. But now, I am calling you into freedom. You no longer need to protect yourself from what I have already covered. You no longer need to hide what I have already redeemed. Listen, and I will tell you how I see you. You are the one I chose before time began. I placed within you a reflection of my own beauty. Not the beauty the world measures, but the beauty that endures. You have a tenderness that mirrors my heart, a resilience that echoes my strength. You were created to carry light, even into places where hope once seemed impossible. The lies that told you you were broken beyond repair could never see what I see, a vessel being remade by grace, a story still unfolding in my hands. Do you remember the moments when you felt too small to matter, when others' success made you question your own purpose? I was there too, whispering that your journey is not a competition, but a calling. You were never meant to walk the same path as anyone else. What I have written for you is unique, shaped perfectly by the seasons you've endured. Even the detours you regret have become pathways for compassion. Every wound that once bled now has the power to bleed healing for others. I waste nothing that you surrender to me. The truth, my child, is not fragile. It does not need to shout to prove itself. It stands quietly, patiently, waiting for you to notice it again. Sometimes the unraveling feels like loss, like you are losing the parts of yourself that once gave you stability. But what you are losing is only illusion. You are not losing identity, you are recovering it. I am restoring you to the truth of who you were before fear rewrote your story. When the enemy tells you that you are beyond repair, remember that I am the author who writes redemption into every broken chapter. When he tells you that it's too late, remember that I am outside of time. When he whispers that no one sees you, remember that I see every hidden act of kindness, every tear shed in secret, every prayer that rose like a sigh. My truth does not overlook your struggle. It embraces it and turns it into glory. Do not be afraid to see what is false. To see clearly is not to be condemned. It is to be freed. When you recognize a lie and bring it to me, you are not failing. You are healing. Let the light expose what has lived too long in shadow. Let my words become louder than your wounds. I will speak truth until it becomes your inner language, until peace no longer feels foreign, until love feels like home again. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to feel strong. You only need to be honest. Tell me where it hurts, where you doubt, where you feel undeserving. I will meet you there, not with anger, but with mercy. I will hold your heart in my hands and show you how much of it is still whole. Even now, the unraveling has begun. The falsehoods are losing their grip. The truth is rising. I will teach you to see yourself as I see you, not through the lens of failure, but through the lens of grace. You will learn to trust that when I look at you, I do not see what went wrong. I see what is still possible. You are my workmanship, and I do not make mistakes. So rest. The unraveling is not your destruction. It is your deliverance. I am loosening the cords that bound you to lies so that you can breathe freely again. Let me finish what I have started. Let truth have its way. For when my truth is fully revealed in you, you will no longer need to strive for love. You will know you have always been loved. And that, my beloved, is the beginning of freedom. I have watched you walk through seasons where everything familiar seemed to fall apart. When people you trusted could not carry your pain, when love you thought would last began to fade, when you stood surrounded by silence that no one else seemed to hear. You looked around and saw absence, but I was there in the stillness, unmoving, unafraid of your sorrow. Others may have walked away, but I stayed. I always stay. My faithfulness does not depend on your strength. It is not weakened by your questions, nor offended by your struggles. You may pull away. You may grow weary of the journey. You may even doubt my presence, but I will not leave you. You belong to me, and I do not abandon what I claim. My love does not flinch at your flaws, and my commitment does not collapse under the weight of your weakness. I am the constant one, steady when everything else shifts, faithful when all others falter. You have seen people change, promises break, and hearts grow cold. You have learned that even good intentions can fall short, that even love can sometimes fail. But I am not like man. My love is not human love magnified. It is divine love personified. It does not grow tired or lose interest. It is not conditional or cautious. My love is not measured by what you give. It is anchored in who I am. I am faithful because it is my nature, and I cannot deny myself. When you stumble, I do not step back. I bend lower. When you lose your way, I do not wait at the finish line for your return. I walk into the wilderness to find you. I call your name until you hear it again. I do not tire of calling, even when your voice grows faint and your faith wavers. Mine does not. I will carry you when your feet cannot move. I will hold you when your hope runs dry. My faithfulness is the steady rhythm that undergirds your entire life, even when you cannot feel it. You have sometimes mistaken hardship for abandonment, as though difficulty means distance. But I have never been closer than in your trials. It is there, in the ache, that my faithfulness shines brightest. I have never promised you a life without storms, but I have promised that you will never face one without me. I was the fourth in the fire, the hand that steadied Peter on the waves, the voice that whispered peace into chaos. The same I am that was then is now in you. When you cry out and think your prayers vanish into the air, I hear every syllable. My silence does not mean absence. It means I am doing work beneath the surface, work you cannot yet see. Faithfulness is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet persistence, the invisible protection that kept you from what would have destroyed you, the closed doors that saved you from premature endings, the delays that preserved your destiny. You call it waiting, I call it preparation. I know there are moments when you wish I would act faster, when your heart aches with longing for answers, healing, or closure. You ask, why do you wait so long, Lord? My child, I wait because love is patient, and patience is not delay. It is wisdom wrapped in mercy. If I gave you everything when you asked, some blessings would break you before they could bless you. So I stay, not distant, but deliberate. I stay to strengthen you for what is coming, to build faith deep enough to withstand both fulfillment and loss. There have been nights when you have cried in silence, wondering if anyone saw. I did. I counted every tear, and none were wasted. Each one became a seed planted in the soil of my promise. My faithfulness waters those seeds. You will see fruit in due time, not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. I redeem every sorrow, and I transform every wound into wisdom. I know how weary you have been, how many times you said, I can't do this anymore. Yet here you are. That, too, is my faithfulness. The strength that rose when you had none left, that was me. The calm that settled when fear should have consumed you, that was me. The whisper that said, keep going, when everything in you wanted to give up, that was me. You have endured not because you are strong, but because I have carried you in the shadow of my hand. When others could not stay, it was not because you were too much to bear. It was because I intended to show you that some companionship is seasonal, but mine is eternal. I never grow weary of you. You never exhaust my patience, even when your emotions rage, when disappointment hardens your heart, when faith flickers low. I do not recoil. I am the one who sits beside you in your unbelief, who waits with you in your fatigue, who gently breathes hope back into your lungs. My child, my faithfulness is not fragile. It does not depend on your mood, your behavior, or your ability to hold it together. You cannot lose me by losing yourself. I am the anchor beneath your storm, the steady pulse beneath your silence. I will remain faithful when you are faithless, for I cannot be untrue to who I am. You may forget me in your hurry, but I never forget you. Your name is engraved upon my hands. Every beat of your heart is a reminder of my ongoing yes to your existence. You sometimes think faithfulness means everything must make sense. But my faithfulness is larger than your understanding. It reaches beyond explanations. I am faithful not only when I give, but when I withhold. Not only when I open doors, but when I close them. My consistency is not proven by your comfort. It is proven by my constancy in every condition. You will understand some things only when you look back and realize that the very pain you cursed was the ground where purpose began to grow. Do not measure my love by the ease of your journey. Measure it by the fact that I never left your side. Not once. I have been beside you in every failure, every victory, every loss, every joy. I have celebrated your small steps and comforted your great falls. I have held your hand through decades of change, and still I remain the same. There will come a day when you will look over your life and see my fingerprints everywhere. On the days you thought were wasted, in the seasons you thought were cursed, in the chapters you wanted to erase. You will see that nothing was wasted because my faithfulness wove every moment into a masterpiece of grace. What the world called broken, I called beautiful. What you called lost, I called found. What you called ending, I called transformation. So when the road grows long and the night stretches cold, remember this: I am still here. I have not left. I will not leave. My faithfulness is not a promise I make. It is the essence of who I am. You can rest your entire life upon it. You can lean into it when the world lets you down. You can trust it when everything else shifts beneath you. I am the faithful one, the keeper of promises, the restorer of the weary, the one who stays when all else fades. Even in your final breath, you will find me there, steady as ever, whispering, I told you I would never leave, and I never will. Every life passes through seasons of waiting. For some, it is the long silence before an answer to prayer. For others, it is the slow unfolding of healing, the ache of uncertainty, or the quiet endurance of time itself. To trust God in the process rather than only in the outcome is one of the hardest lessons of faith. It asks the heart to rest not on what it can see, but on the character of the one who leads. Most of us are taught to fix our eyes on results. We celebrate arrivals, solutions, and completions. But in the spiritual life, much of the transformation happens in between, in the pause, in the struggle, in the unhurried rhythm of divine timing. The process itself is not a detour. It is the place where God's deeper work occurs. When the Israelites wandered through the desert, their destination was a promised land, but the wilderness became its own classroom. It stripped away illusions, revealed dependence, and taught them to trust daily provision. Each dawn's manna reminded them that grace was fresh for that day only, not stored for tomorrow, not proof of control. The desert was not punishment, it was preparation. The same truth echoes through every generation. The process shapes the soul in ways the outcome never can. Waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred ground where character is refined and perspective expands. When we are forced to slow down, we often notice what we had overlooked. Small mercies, quiet provisions, simple joys. In the waiting, the noise of self-reliance grows softer and the awareness of divine presence grows clearer. To trust the process means to believe that God is at work even when progress is invisible. It means holding steady when the heart wants to rush ahead. It requires faith that every unanswered question, every delay, and every detour still fits within a greater design. The world tells us that delay means denial, but faith whispers that delay is often direction, a divine redirection towards something more complete. Patience in this sense is not passive resignation. It is active surrender. It is the quiet strength to remain open to growth while we wait. To trust the process is to lean into the unfolding, knowing that the author of time never writes without purpose. When doors close or paths twist, when healing takes longer than we hoped or dreams seem to sleep beneath the soil, faith invites us to keep walking, step by step, through uncertainty, trusting that light will return. For those who have lived many seasons, this truth may come with a bittersweet familiarity. Older hearts have seen plans collapse and prayers go unanswered in the way they once expected. Yet they have also seen God redeem what once felt lost, weaving mercy through what once looked meaningless. It is only by looking back that we see how faithfully He carried us, even when we doubted His presence. Experience becomes its own testimony. Though outcomes change, the one who guides does not.